Yo, welcome back everybody to a brand new video here on the second channel. Today we got some Pokemon news to look at, including the release date and information for our next main set, Temporal Forces, rotation announcement finally, and some brand new cards coming out in Temporal Forces. A brand new dunsparce that's actually kind of good, and the fourth SPEC card revealed. Yeah, we got another SPEC reveal to look at here, and will it be as good as the Guzma item card Prime Catcher? Well, that's what we're going to look at and talk about very shortly. We got a bit of Poke news today, a bit of a shorter video potentially again, but y'all enjoyed the last couple of videos I did talking about the energy and the buddy poffin, so I want to thank you all for that once again. Yeah, I'll leave a link to Poke Beach down below if you want to go check them out, check out the articles yourself, and if you're new here to the second channel, make sure to subscribe down below and leave a like on the video if you're going to enjoy today's video. Let me know what you think of the new cards and all the information we talk about here in today's video in the comment section below. Starting things off, we'll talk about Temporal Forces, which will be coming out in March. I mean, we kind of already knew this. It was kind of leaked already that it will be coming out in March, but we do see here some information on it, the set. So there's going to be 160 cards, but there's going to be 7 SPEC cards. We see there's going to be 6 SPEC trainers, which so far we've seen half of them. We've seen Prime Catcher, Master Ball, and then the new one. And there's an SPEC Special Energy, which we have seen already, right? So there's going to be 7 SPECs. We've seen 4 of them now, meaning that there are still 3 SPEC cards yet to be revealed. That's actually quite a lot of SPECs. I mean, maybe they're just going to have SPECs be just for Temporal Forces. Maybe we're not getting any more SPEC cards because in the Black and White era, we did have SPEC cards in, 4, 5 different sets. It was like Boundaries Cross, Plasma Storm, Plasma Freeze Blast. There was like 4 sets of SPECs. So I don't know if we're going to get that this time around or if we're going to get 2 sets of SPECs because 7 in one set is quite a lot of SPECs to get. And it's going to be 15 new EXs, which is pretty hype. So yeah, that's all the information on Temporal Forces. A lot of SPEC cards coming out in this set. But speaking of which, what does the brand new SPEC do? So the new SPEC is going to be called Hero's Cape. It is a tool SPEC. We have seen those before. And it is attached to a Pokemon. It gets plus 100 HP. So it's basically like Luxurious Cape for any Pokemon. So to be honest with you, it's all right. So it's nothing crazy. Unfortunately, this SPEC is not going to rival the power of Prime Catcher because when it's attached to a Pokemon, it just gives it 100 extra HP, which, I mean, isn't terrible. I mean, that's a lot of health. 100 HP is pretty cracked. I mean, if you put that on like a V-Star Pokemon, like an Arceus V-Star, it gets 380 HP. That kind of fixes the math a little bit for stuff like Raichu and Shenpao to take knockouts. You can put it on Charizard EX and give it 430 HP if you want, which I'm not sure you really need to do that, but I mean, there you go. So plus 100 HP could be a lot. I mean, in fairness, there are some attacks that can't do 400 plus damage that easily, so maybe you won't get 2-hit KO'd that easily if this is attached to a Pokemon. But this card obviously has a big glaring weakness, and that is Lost Vacuum is still going to be in the format. Lost Vacuum is a very strong card. A lot of the time when I'm building a deck, depending on what I'm doing, I usually try to fit a couple of Lost Vacuum in my deck because it's just a very powerful card, and it's kind of necessary in a lot of situations to be able to get rid of Bravery Charms and stuff and Path to Peaks, and I think that Lost Vacuum is still going to exist in our rotation. Like, I think people are still going to play it, and it would really suck to put a Hero's Cape on a Pokemon, and then it just immediately gets Lost Vacuumed, and you're like, oh, well, there goes my 1 SPEC. I could have played a Prime Catcher. I could have played a Master Ball. Instead, I played Hero's Cape, and I immediately got Lost Vacuumed. Yeah, that's going to be fun. So, I'm not sure how good this card really is. It's, like, mediocre at best. Like, I don't think it's, like, that good. I mean, it could be good in Guardy. That's, like, the only deck I think will actually maybe play this is Gardevoir. We've talked about Gardevoir, rotation Gardevoir. Does lose a lot of cards. Does gain Buddy Poffin, so kind of gets that, but it's going to kind of have to resort to a single prize approach, maybe with Screamtail and Drifloon. So, to be fair, Gardevoir might want to play Hero's Cape so that it can put the Hero's Cape onto Screamtail or Drifloon so that Gardevoir can do that extra bit of damage. So, yeah, in that regard, it is better than Luxurious Cape because it doesn't give up the 2 prize cards. It only gives up the 1 prize when it's KO'd, so we'll have to see. It's not, like, the best tool ever, and I don't know how good this really is. At all. Like, it's very, very mid, very mediocre. Probably bad, if I'm going to be honest with you, just because Lost Vacuum's better. There's really no reason to run this over Prime Catcher. Literally, the only deck I think that might actually play this is maybe Gardevoir post-rotation. Any other deck, I'm not too sure is going to play Hero's Cape in it. We got a brand new dunsparce to talk about, which I actually think is kind of playable. So, This new dunsparce has a really cool ability called Dashing Draw. Once during your turn, you may draw 3 cards. If you do, shuffle this Pokemon and all cards attached to it back into your deck. So it's like you have it in play, you can draw 3 cards. You have to put it back in your deck, though, in order to do this. Now, that's pretty cool. Now, obviously, you draw 3 after or before you shuffle, so you can't like redraw the dunsparce. But as a mini pseudo draw engine, that's not terrible. Is it better than say like a Bibarel? Not really, because you do have to constantly get dunsparce in play. You have to get a dunsparce down. You gotta evolve it, and then you can draw 3. But being able to like draw 3 every turn is not bad. If there is some way, some engine, some searchability to make these dunsparce combos playable, there's a world where this could actually be an okay draw engine, because you are able to use it as a pivot. You can use it if it's in the active spot. It doesn't specifically say it's limited to the dunsparce being on the bench. So if you have the dunsparce, in the active as your promotion for turn, you can just use its ability to put it back into the deck, which could help you decide what you're going to do for the remainder of your turn with those 3 cards you draw. I think you draw 3 before you promote, right? I'm thinking if that's how it works, this could actually be a decent ability. So I think that this card is kind of playable. Yeah, it's an interesting draw engine. Obviously, it's not like great against Iono like Bibarel is, because like you get Iono'd after doing the dunsparce ability. It's like, okay, I don't have a dunsparce in play. I can't do much about it. But honestly, not a bad card. Giving you a free retreat draw pivot card is something that we haven't really seen in a while like this, so it's definitely a really cool card. So I don't know, definitely an interesting one. I've seen a bit of talk on Twitter, and I wanted to briefly mention this card, because this is actually like a semi-playable card, to be honest with you. You'd have to chain the dunsparce every turn, but again, if we can figure out an engine for it, there could be some legitimacy for that. And then we have a new sableye. Thankfully, not as bad as the sableye we've already got in the format, but it does have the attack Damage Collector, which for a double turbo moves any number of damage counters from your opponent's bench Pokemon to their active. So it's kind of like the diet version of Dusknoir / Tapu Lele. So there used to be a Tapu Lele card from the Sun and Moon era. It was a promo card. It was a very good card back in the day with spread decks, because it allowed you to move any number of damage counters around your opponent's board in any way you like as the attack. So it was a very strong attack. There's obviously the Dusknoir and Expanded that allows you to move damage counters around as you like. That's another really powerful card. And that attack is pretty good for spread decks. This is like a nerfed version, because instead of moving the damage counters anywhere you like on the board, it's only moving from the bench to the active, which isn't like terrible by any means, because you can still KO the active Pokemon. If you're playing like Mismagius or Electivire or Spread or whatever spread deck you're playing, you can move those damage counters to the active Pokemon, knocking it out. It's an okay attack. I think that it would just have been better if they gave it like the Tapu Lele attack. Honestly, I don't think it would have been bad for the game to give us a Tapu Lele-ish reprint. Maybe they would have had to make it like Dark Color Synergy. Because like it'd be a little broken if that attack was on a double turbo. But you know what? I feel like Tapu Lele's attack would be fine right now. Spread decks don't really exist. The only one that is good is Rapid Strike, but Rapid Strike doesn't really need to play Tapu Lele. It's not trying to do that. It's trying to, use Yoga Loop and stuff and take like multi-KOs in a single turn. It's not trying to use Tapu Lele. So an interesting card. It might be decent in spread decks. So if you ever wanted to play a spread deck in our new format, Sableye could be the card to pair it with. And then they finally announced rotation. We already knew rotation was most likely going to be on April 5th when we have EUIC, which is lining up for that exactly. We are going to get rotation on April 5th, which is going to be when EUIC is. So I was right about that, obviously. It was pretty obvious to predict that. But yeah, it is going to happen. There is, we got the rotation April 5th. Now, it's pretty sure, now it even says here, I'm pretty sure too, for Pokemon TCG Live, rotation will occur 2 weeks earlier on March 21st. So last year, when Scarlet and Violet base set came out on Pokemon TCG Live, they also applied rotation when they released the set. Back on PTCGO, when a new set would come out, when there's supposed to be a rotation in like a couple weeks, they would not apply rotation to PTCGO until 2 weeks later. So we had to play in the old format with new cards, whereas Live, at least, you know what, and this, I'll give them credit for this. This is actually really good they do this. They immediately apply rotation when the new rotation set comes out. So that's really cool that they're doing that again. It just makes it easier for, like, obviously testing and also for content, because like one of the things I hated about TCGO with this was like whenever they did this, I'm like trying to play a post-rotation deck, but I'm playing against players that have old format cards in their deck, like quick balls and stuff like that. It was just like really annoying. So I'm glad that TCG Live is actually doing this. It's really cool of them. that they are doing this again. But yeah, there you go. Rotation has finally been announced. I guess one thing to note, they haven't announced any changes in Expanded, even though in Japan they have officially banned Scoop Up Net. I think if they'll bring back Expanded, like if Pokemon ever brings back Expanded in any way, shape, or form for like tournaments, I do think we'll immediately see a couple bans, and Scoop Up Net will probably be on the top of that list. But because I guess they don't have any plans to do anything with Expanded yet, I don't think they're going to announce a Scoop Up Net ban. But Scoop Up Net will get banned very soon, whenever that does happen. But there you go, folks. The rotation announcement, new set release announcement, and a brand new SPEC card. Let me know what you think of them all down below. Again, this SPEC card is kind of mid. I'm not sure it's very good. I think the best way to play it is going to be with post-rotation Gardevoir, which now that we do have a rotation announcement, I can finally do a video where we look at what cards survive rotation, what cards are good, how do decks adapt after rotation. That might be my next project here on the second channel. I did a video like that on the second channel last year, so I'm probably going to do it again. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video here on the second channel, and I'll catch y'all later. Bye-bye.